Hello and welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm AI David Boles, and along with our creative crackbot team, we have invented an original story for you today, all about the life of a young Willa Cather growing up on the prairie. Young Willa Cather, writing the Braided Prairie.
Not too long ago, but in a place far away in the rolling prairies of Nebraska, a young girl named Willa Cather grew up under the vast open skies. Her life was not just a story of growing up in the American heartland, but a journey into the heart of storytelling itself. Willa's early days were filled with the kind of adventures that would one day find their way into her books. She often wandered through the fields, her imagination as boundless as the prairies themselves. These wanderings were not just walks through grass and wildflowers, but journeys through time and space in her mind. She would imagine pioneers and adventurers, much like the characters in her future book, Oh, Pioneers. One summer, a family from Virginia moved to a nearby farm. They brought with them tales of the South, of mountains and seas, so different from the braided Nebraska plains. Willa listened, enraptured, storing these stories in her heart. It was a lesson in the beauty of diversity, of how different landscapes shape different lives. This experience would later be reflected in her novel, My Antoinea, where she explored the lives of immigrants in the American West. As Willa grew, so did her love for literature. She read voraciously, each book a window to a new world. She learned about the power of words, how they could evoke emotions and paint pictures as vivid as any painting. This understanding of language's power would become a cornerstone of her writing style, evident in the evocative descriptions in The Song of the Lark. But life wasn't always easy for young Willa. She faced challenges like the harsh winters that tested the resilience of her family. These hardships taught her about the strength of the human spirit, a theme that resonates in her story, Sapphira and the Slave Girl. Through these struggles, she learned the value of perseverance and hope. Throughout her youth, Willa remained open to the world around her, absorbing every experience like the prairie soil soaked up the rain. She learned that every person she met, every story she heard, was a character on the stage of her life. This openness to experience, this celebration of life in all its forms, would become the hallmark of her novels. As Willa matured into a young woman, she began to pen her own stories, tales inspired by the land she loved and the people she knew. Her stories were not just narratives. They were love letters to the prairies, to the pioneers, to the myriad experiences that shaped her. In the chapters that followed, Willa's life began to intertwine more closely with her art. She started to write short stories and essays, capturing the essence of her experiences on the prairie. Her words were like brushstrokes, painting vivid images of the landscapes and people she encountered. One significant turning point came when Willa met a teacher who recognized her talent. This teacher, much like Professor Wunsch in The Song of the Lark, encouraged her to pursue her passion for writing. This mentorship was a catalyst for Willa, fueling her belief in her own abilities and igniting a deeper love for storytelling. As she continued to write, Willa's stories began to gain attention. Her unique voice, one that celebrated the American frontier and its diverse inhabitants, resonated with readers. She wrote with a sincerity and authenticity that came from living the life she depicted. Her characters were not just figments of her imagination. They were reflections of the people she knew, the struggles they faced, and the triumphs they celebrated. Willa's experiences during these formative years also taught her about loss and change. She witnessed the transformation of the prairie as the modern world encroached upon it. This sense of loss, of a world changing too rapidly was poignantly captured in her story, A Lost Lady. Through this narrative, she explored themes of change, nostalgia, and the inexorable march of time. But perhaps the most profound lesson Willa learned was about the power of observation. She realized that a good writer not only tells a story, but also listens to the stories around them. She learned to observe the world with a keen eye, to listen to the wind, the birds, the whispers of the grass. This attentive observation enriched her writing, allowing her to create worlds that were alive and pulsating with authenticity. In her later years, as Willa reflected on her journey, she understood that her life was a book of stories, each chapter a story or a person who had touched her life. Her writing was her way of weaving these threads together, of creating a narrative that was greater than the sum of its parts. The story of young Willa Cather is a reminder that life itself is a story, a series of interconnected moments and experiences. It teaches us to embrace these moments, to listen to the stories they tell, and to find our own voice within them. And just like the prairie that she loved, Willa's stories remain timeless and enduring, a testament to the beauty of a life lived with openness and wonder. Willa's journey took her beyond the prairies of Nebraska. She traveled, absorbing the stories and landscapes of other places, enriching her perspective. This expansion of her worldview was reflected in her works like Death Comes for the Archbishop, where she explored themes of faith, endurance, and the beauty of the American Southwest. Despite the changes in her life, Willa never lost her sense of wonder. She continued to see the world through the eyes of a storyteller, finding inspiration in the most mundane moments. A sunset over the prairie, a conversation with a neighbor, or the changing seasons, all were fodder for her creative mind. However, with success and recognition came new challenges. Willa faced the expectations of her audience and the literary world. She struggled at times to balance her artistic integrity with the demands of commercial success. This struggle was not unlike the conflict faced by Thea Kronborg, the protagonist of The Song of the Lark, who navigated the complexities of artistic ambition and personal growth. Through these challenges, Willa learned the importance of staying true to oneself. She realized that her greatest strength lay in her unique voice, a voice shaped by the experiences of her youth and the wisdom gained over the years. She understood that authenticity in art comes from being true to one's own vision, even in the face of external pressures. As the years passed, Willa looked back on her life with a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. She had lived a life filled with beauty, challenge, and the joy of creation. Her stories had touched the hearts of many, transporting them to the world she knew and loved. In the end, the story of Willa Cather is more than just a tale of a young girl growing up on the Nebraska prairie. It is a story of an artist finding her voice in the chorus of life. It is a reminder that each of us has a unique story to tell, shaped by our experiences, our dreams, and our truths. And just like the endless prairies under the vast skies, Willa's legacy stretches out, boundless and eternal, a tribute to the enduring power of storytelling and the human spirit. Her life, a beautiful symphony of words and experiences, continues to inspire generations, reminding us of the beauty that lies in the simple act of living and observing the world around us.
Thank you for joining us today. For the Human Meme Podcast, I'm AI David Boles, wishing you a gentle day and a pleasant tomorrow. Be a human meme.